Before I was even born, my father was in the Congress of the United States, Thomas D'Alessandro Jr. He was okay, let's hear it for Dad. He was, as a little teenager, a Shabbat Goy. So he spoke Yiddish. So as he grew up in that, and he was an orator, he was a great speaker and all the rest, and he had a love for the idea of a Jewish state in what was then called Palestine.
Hey, newsflash, you know all those boats that Trump and the military have been blowing up off the coast of Venezuela? They don't know who they're killing. Pentagon tells Congress it doesn't know who it's killing in Latin American boat strikes. Isn't that something? Okay. That's Secretary of Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War. Earlier today, at the direction of President Trump, the Department of War carried out a lethal kinetic strike. Well, you want a lethal kinetic strike? Wow. As opposed to what, a flaccid static strike? This vessel, like all the others, was known by our intelligence to be involved in illicit narcotics. So they're just summarily executing people they suspect of being drug runners, which is not how that goes against every international law, every domestic law, right now there's a guy at the ICC court who used to be the president of the Philippines. He's being brought up on charge for doing the exact thing, for going in and killing drug dealers without a trial. And so what they're doing is they're killing fishermen is what they're doing. One of the boats was from Colombia, and their fishing boat had a distress signal on, and they bombed it. So here's the video that the Pete Hegseth. There. Oh, look at that. We're so tough. Hegseth loves saying lethal kinetic strike because it sounds so much better than murder. And just to let you know, here's Senator Rand Paul. For over 20 years, presidents have used the same post-9/11 legal framework to justify wars and drone strikes without congressional approval. It's time to end this blank check for endless war and restore constitutional limits. So here's what he says.
The problem here is that the Trump administration, and correct me if I'm wrong, is basically embracing the legal framework that has been in place since 9/11, the war on terror. I know there were efforts to try and revoke it. It was never revoked. I mean, isn't this kind of the danger illustrated that people predicted? If you don't withdraw the legal framework that allows endless war in the name of terrorism, that'll just become everything and the president can just bomb whoever he wants forever?
Well, I think it is important to remember our history, even our recent history back to the Obama administration. I think he killed over 1,000 people with drones. They used to have killing terrorist Tuesdays where he had flashcards, and they'd go through the flashcards and pick people on the flashcards. This included an American citizen and the American citizen's 2 children. And I think nobody really made the allegation that any of them were carrying arms. They were sympathetic to terrorists. They had ideas that most civilized people disagreed with, but at the same time, they weren't in the middle of combat or engaged in combat. But the reason it's important is because we seem to have different standards. You know, when a Democrats in charge, Republicans, some were up in arms over this. Now that a Republican's doing it, Democrats are rightly up in arms against Trump, but some of them forget or are willing to forget that, you know, their hero, President Obama, was doing it as well. But you're right, that legal framework and that precedent has allowed President Trump to say, look, everybody does this. They're terrorists. And it's this circular argument. Who are terrorists? Well, the people I tell you who are terrorists. And what are terrorists? They're people who kill people in a terroristic way. And they're terrorists because I tell you they do this. It's like it's this circular argument with no proof presented. But there is a real problem with it.
Yeah, there's a real problem with it, but nobody's going to do anything about it because we've been letting the president just murder anybody he's wanted since 9/11. And which makes the United States the biggest terrorist state in the world. There's no bigger terrorist than the United States. Israel's very close, but it would be the United States. The United States, the UK, France, Israel, pretty big terrorist states. And they don't even know who they're killing. The U.S. War Department officials don't know the identities of the 61 people who have been extrajudicially. They don't even know their identities. The department officials said that they do not need to positively identify individuals on these vessels to do the strikes. They just need to prove a connection to smuggling. When we tried to get more information, we did not get satisfactory answers. Really? Who's got that kind of time? While the Trump administration has cited overdose deaths in the U.S. related to fentanyl, fentanyl doesn't come from Venezuela, it comes from Mexico. So they can't even keep their lies straight on why they're doing this economic hit job on Venezuela, which is a military hit job. And again, this is the exact opposite thing of what Donald Trump ran on and what Tulsi Gabbard has been saying her entire career. We have to stop doing these wars of choice, these regime change wars to steal oil and treasure, which is exactly what we're doing. Tulsi's been completely quiet on this. So what Tulsi should do is probably say something publicly or resign. Because if she doesn't, it's tarnishing her reputation for the rest of her life. I hope she resigns. I hope she says something publicly. She used to say lots of stuff in 2019. She would say that Donald Trump, what he's doing in Venezuela is unconstitutional, illegal, and it's counterproductive for America. That's the kind of stuff she was saying on video, the kind of stuff she was tweeting out. Now, I haven't heard a peep out of her since they started bombing these boats. I think it's time for her to say something and or resign. They argued that cocaine is a facilitating drug of fentanyl. But that was not a satisfactory answer for most of us. That's at the congressional hearing. The briefing on Thursday came after the Pentagon shut out Democrats from another briefing it held with Republicans a day earlier, which left Democratic senators fuming. Democrats who attended Thursday's briefing said Pentagon lawyers were pulled from the meeting at the last minute. Am I leaving satisfied? Absolutely not. And the last word that I gave to the Admiral was, I hope you recognize the constitutional peril that you are in and the peril you are putting our troops in. That was Representative Seth Moulton, Democrat from Massachusetts. He told reporters after the briefing, that's according to CNN. Come on, clearly we're just in the life-saving game over here. That's what we're doing. Right? We just vaccinated the entire boat against the dangers of fentanyl. That's what that is. Pfizer's new guided heat-seeking polyvax. That's what it is. So this is, what's your problem, is what I say. This is just a perfect way to start a land war by giving them justification to strike back. And then we go in. First, we attack them, then we attack ourselves, claiming it was them, and then we go back in and finish attacking them. It's such a familiar pattern. Who else does that? First we attack them, then we attack ourselves, say it was them attacking us, then we go back in and finish the job. Jacob said that based on what she was told, even if Congress authorizes the bombing campaign, it would still be illegal. There's nothing that we heard in there that changes my assessment that this is completely illegal, that it is unlawful, and even if Congress authorized it, it would still be illegal because there are extrajudicial killings where we have no evidence. So this was supposed to be the kind of thing Donald Trump was against. This is supposed to be the kind of thing that MAGA was against. And I think a lot of MAGA are against this. The MAGA that come to my shows are against this, that's for sure. They're not on board for another war choice of they think like Tulsi did before she became part of the administration. Criticism of the U.S. bombing campaign has also come from Republicans, most prominently Rand Paul. No one said their name. No one said what evidence. No one said whether they're armed, and we've had no evidence presented. They summarily executed people without presenting evidence to the public. So it's wrong. Well, that's pretty simple. Rand Paul has joined Senate Democrats in introducing a war powers resolution aimed at preventing the Trump administration from starting a war with Venezuela amid threats of U.S. strikes on the country aimed at ousting President Nicolas Maduro and a major U.S. military buildup in the region. A vote on the bill is expected to happen next week. Here's Zachary Cohen from CNN says Democratic Representative Sarah Jacobs, after today's briefing from the Pentagon officials on the boat strikes, she says, they said that they do not need to positively identify individuals on the vessel to do strikes, Jacobs said, adding that was in part why administration could not actually hold or try the individuals that survived one of the attacks is because they could not satisfy the evidentiary burden. So they blew up a boat, 2 people survived. They scoop up the 2 people that survived. Do they take them to Guantanamo and put them on trial? No, they release them back to, I think, Guatemala or some other country, and then they don't prosecute them there. So they just let them go. So the reason why they didn't try to prosecute them was because they have no evidence, because they weren't drug traffickers. That's why. So the reason why they blew up that boat is not because they're fighting drugs. It's because they want to overthrow Maduro so we could steal their oil and all their minerals. That's what this is about. And when they blew up a boat and 2 people survived, they didn't prosecute them for being drug runners. They let them go because they weren't drug runners and they had 0 evidence. Okay, not a big deal.
It's wild how much Trump bragged about how he didn't support the Iraq war before he got elected, and how much against the regime change wars he was. And then he goes and does this. I feel like all these, Obama did the same thing. I voted for Obama in 2008. He said he was going to end the wars and close Guantanamo Bay.
He did none of that.
None of it happened.
He expanded the wars. He expanded the war into Libya. He expanded the war into Somalia, Yemen.
And then he assassinated
Syria.
an American citizen with no trial.
He killed an American citizen
and
with
then
no
his
trial.
Kid too.
That's right.
In case he might grow up to
a teenager, a 16-year-old kid he killed.
Yeah.
And when Barack Obama's advisor was asked about this, his advisor said, he shouldn't be hanging around with terrorists.
Yep.
Okay, so so they don't have any idea who they're killing, and that's it. Of course, they're not. The whole point of this isn't to stop drugs. If Venezuela was a narco state, they'd be taking Marco Rubio would be down there taking pictures with them, and they'd be bribing the ministers. This is about what they wanted to do for over 25 years: overthrow Venezuela, steal their oil, and steal their minerals. And now you know the rest of the story. Okay. Come see my jokes about this in Australia. I'll be there. Second shows have been added to all our shows. We'll see you the day after Thanksgiving in Burbank, California at Flappers Comedy Club. It's a Friday. It's the day after Thanksgiving. Everybody's off. Come see my stand-up comedy show with my friends. Also, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, December 6th. January 11th, we'll be in Waikiki at the Blue Note. It's a beautiful room. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. Oh, we're going to bring out our guests. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Let's get right to it. How are you sleeping? Can I listen to your lungs? How are your poops? Because logs is what we're going for. We don't want any plops or splats. Poops is good? Good. Real good. And how's that country we gave you? It's good, but some people haven't forgot I'm terrorist. No! You do not speak negatively about yourself, even if it's a joke. Bruce Lee said that. And you're not a terrorist. You're held to a new standard now, a higher caliber. You are a country. And you do war crimes, and you do them good. I don't know. You're way better at it. My war crime's hard to spin. Look at me. We play fast and loose with the war crimes around here. Now give me a war crime to spin. Sometimes my guys, we torture civilians, journalists, activists, women, children, tortured to death, stuff like that. You know what that sounds like to me? Lawful counterterrorism. Give me another one. Sometimes, my guys, we destroy civilian infrastructure, use cluster ammunitions in populated zones, we live fire on crowds, massacres, house-to-house killings, stuff like that. I'll be damned if there isn't a little blood spilled during a lawful counterinsurgency operation. Now, what else you got? Give me a hard one. Beheadings. Oh, I think we can chalk that up to cultural differences. It's okay, sounds good. How's that rash on your penis? I hope not inflamed.